You check your phone, it's 3:47 p.m. You remember eating lunch a while ago, you're planning dinner later tonight. But here's something wild. If I asked you what time actually ends, not how to measure it, but what it fundamentally is, could you answer? Most physicists can't agree. Some say time doesn't even exist. Others say it's the most real thing in the universe. And this isn't just some academic debate. This disagreement is literally tearing apart our understanding of reality itself. Let's start with what feels obvious. Time is like a river flowing in one direction. You experience a sequence: past, present, future. You remember yesterday, you're living right now, and you're anticipating tomorrow. This feels so basic that questioning it seems crazy. But here's where it gets weird. When physicists write down the equations that govern everything, from atoms bouncing around to planets orbiting stars, time shows up in a really specific way. It's just another coordinate, like width, height, and depth. If you filmed a perfectly bouncing ball and played the video backwards, the physics would look identical. The equations work perfectly in both directions. Think about this. You're watching two billiard balls collide. If I played it backwards, you couldn't tell which direction was forward just by looking at the physics. The balls would follow the exact same laws whether time runs left to right or right to left. So we've got a puzzle. Your experience screams that time has a direction. You age, you don't unage. You remember the past, not the future. You can influence tomorrow, not yesterday. But the fundamental equations of physics, they couldn't care less about time's direction. It's like your GPS saying you're driving north while your compass points south. This creates what philosophers call the two times problem. There's psychological time, the time you experience with its flow and direction, and that special now moment. And there's physical time, the time in equations, which is just another dimension like space, with no inherent direction or flow. To understand what's really happening, let's build time from the ground up using something concrete: a chess game. You're watching two people play chess. Move after move, there's clearly a sequence. The game has a beginning, middle, and end. Time flows from one move to the next. But now imagine someone photographed the board after every single move and laid all those photos out on a huge table. From above, looking at all the photos at once, you'd see the entire game spread out in space. Photo 1 shows the opening, Photo 50 shows the middle game, Photo 100 shows the end game. The entire game exists simultaneously in this layout. Nothing's flowing, it's all just there, static, like a landscape you can see all at once. This is exactly how Einstein's relativity describes time. What we call the flow of time is like walking along that table of photographs. You experience them in sequence because you're moving through them, but they all exist equally. The entire history of the universe, from the Big Bang to whatever happens trillions of years from now, might be laid out like those chess photos, all equally real, all existing simultaneously in what physicists call the block universe. But wait, if that's true, why do you experience flow at all? Why don't you see all moments at once? Here's the key. You're not separate from time. You're embedded in it. Think of it this way. You're a character drawn on one of those chess photographs. That character can only see what's in their particular photo. They can't step back and look at the whole table. As we move through the block universe, each moment of us only has access to that particular moment's information. Your brain at 3:47 p.m. contains memories of earlier moments and expectations of future ones, which creates the sensation of flow. But your brain at 3:46 p.m. and your brain at 3:48 p.m. are equally real. They just exist at different locations in the time dimension, like how your house and your office exist at different locations in space. This explains something that's always bugged people: why time seems to have a speed. People say time flies or drags, but speed is distance divided by time. What would it mean for time itself to have a speed? It's like asking, how fast is space moving through space? The question doesn't make sense. What you're really experiencing is the rate at which your consciousness processes information, not time itself moving. But here's where our neat block universe picture starts to fall apart, and the real mystery begins. First, there's the problem of now. In the block universe, every moment is equally real. December 7th, 1941 is just as real as today. Your 5th birthday is just as real as your death. But this violates something deep about your experience. Right now feels special. This moment, as you're listening to these words, feels different from all other moments. It feels present in a way that yesterday doesn't. Some philosophers, called presentists, insist that only the present moment is real. The past has stopped existing, the future doesn't exist yet, and reality is this thin slice of now moving through time like a spotlight. But this creates its own problems. If only now is real, what determines how fast the spotlight moves? And Einstein's relativity shows there's no universal now. Events that happen at the same time for you might happen at different times for someone moving relative to you. Then there's the arrow of time problem. Even if time is like space, there's something space doesn't have, a preferred direction. You can move north or south, east or west, up or down with equal ease. But you can't move backward in time. You age, you don't unage. Milk spoils, it doesn't unspoil. Heat flows from hot to cold, never the reverse. This is where entropy comes in. Entropy is a measure of disorder, and the second law of thermodynamics says entropy always increases. Drop a wine glass and it shatters into hundreds of pieces, high entropy. You'll never see those pieces spontaneously jump back together into a wine glass that would decrease entropy. But here's the puzzle. The fundamental equations of physics work in reverse. If you filmed molecules bouncing around and played it backwards, the physics would still be valid. So why does entropy increase in one direction but not the other? It's like having a highway where the traffic laws are identical in both directions, but somehow all the cars only drive north. The answer seems to be that the universe started in an extremely low entropy state. Everything was smooth and uniform right after the Big Bang. Since then, entropy has been increasing, creating the arrow of time we experience. But this just pushes the mystery back. Why did the universe start with low entropy? That's like asking why all the cars started at the south end of our highway. Some physicists, like Carlo Rovelli, argue that time is entirely emergent. It's not fundamental to the universe, but comes from our particular perspective as complex information processing systems in a world of increasing entropy. From this view, time is more like temperature, a useful concept for describing collections of particles, but not a fundamental feature of reality. Others, like Tim Maudlin, argue this gets it backwards. Time is fundamental, and our equations are just approximations that miss something crucial about reality's temporal structure. The flow of time isn't an illusion, it's the most basic feature of existence, and any theory that denies it is missing something essential. This isn't just abstract philosophy. This disagreement about time cuts to the heart of how you understand your own existence. If the block universe is correct, then your entire life, every decision, every moment of joy or pain, every relationship, already exists, laid out like a landscape. Your sense of choosing your future is an illusion. The future is already there, just as real as the past. Free will becomes deeply problematic. How can you choose between options if all options already exist? But if presentism is correct, if only now is real, then you face a different puzzle. What you call yourself is constantly being destroyed and recreated. The person who started reading this no longer exists. Only the present version of you is real. Your memories aren't memories of real events, but present mental states that give you the illusion of continuity. This affects how you think about death too. In the block universe, death isn't the end of your existence. It's just the boundary of your existence in the time dimension, like how your skin is the boundary of your existence in space. Every moment you've ever lived continues to exist. In the presentist view, death is the complete end of your reality. It even affects practical decisions. If you believe time is an illusion, you might prioritize differently. Why rush to finish projects or spend time with loved ones if all moments are equally real? But if you believe only the present is real, each moment carries enormous weight. It's the only thing that actually exists. This disagreement also shapes how we approach the biggest questions in physics. Quantum mechanics and general relativity, our two most successful theories, have completely different relationships with time. Quantum mechanics treats time as a background against which events happen. General relativity treats time as dynamic, something that can bend and stretch. Unifying these theories requires resolving what time actually is. Some cutting-edge approaches, like loop quantum gravity, suggest that time itself is quantized, made of discrete chunks like pixels on a screen, rather than being smooth and continuous. If true, there would be a shortest possible moment, about 10 to 43 seconds, called Planck time. Reality would be like a cosmic flipbook, with each page representing one quantum of time. Other approaches suggest that time might emerge from something even more fundamental, perhaps from quantum entanglement itself. In this view, the flow of time emerges from the way quantum information gets scrambled and spread throughout the universe. So what is time, really? After everything we've explored, here's what we can say. Time is either the most fundamental feature of reality, the stage on which everything else plays out, or it's the most successful illusion ever created by the universe. If time is fundamental, then change, becoming, and the flow from past to future are built into the basic structure of existence. Your experience of temporal flow reflects something deep and true about reality itself. If time is emergent, then what we call time comes from something more basic. Perhaps the way information gets processed in complex systems, or the way entropy increases, or the way consciousness stitches together moments into a narrative. But here's what's remarkable. We don't know which one is true. We've built GPS satellites that depend on Einstein's bendable time. We've created quantum computers that exploit the weird timelessness of quantum mechanics. We've measured the universe's age to incredible precision. And we still don't know what time actually is. What we do know is that time, whatever it is stranger and more fundamental than our everyday experience suggests. Whether it's the river we think we're floating down, or the landscape we're actually embedded in, time remains the deepest mystery at the heart of reality. And that mystery shapes everything from how you understand your own consciousness to how physicists search for the ultimate laws of nature. The next time you check your phone and see that it's 3:47 p.m., remember, you're not just noting a measurement. You're confronting one of the most profound puzzles in all of science and philosophy, the nature of existence itself.